She warned. "You're playing with fire." I replied, "But I like the heat between us." Her voice was low, almost a whisper, but it hit me like a struck match. "You're playing with fire," she said. The way she said it, no smile, no joke, felt like both a warning and an invitation. I should have stepped back. Instead, I leaned in. "But I like the heat between us," I murmured, surprised at how steady my voice sounded. We were alone in the studio after everyone else had gone. The faint hum of the old heater filled the quiet, and the windows showed nothing but darkness outside. She stood by the long wooden table, rolling a glass of water between her palms as if to cool them. I sat on the edge of a chair that was too low for the counter, my knees almost touching hers. Up close, she wasn't just graceful, she was deliberate. The way she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear wasn't nervous. It was a habit from years of holding herself together. She was in her 40s, with eyes that caught the dim light like polished stone. And still, under the composure, there was a tremor. Not fear, but something like it. I noticed how she didn't meet my eyes at first. She looked at my hands instead, at the notebook I kept turning over. Then, when our eyes did meet, she didn't look away quickly enough. That pause was where the heat lived. "You shouldn't," she began, then stopped. Her fingers brushed the edge of my notebook, the tiniest touch, almost accidental. The contact was nothing, yet it felt like an electric current. I could smell the faint citrus of her perfume, warmed by her skin. I wasn't trying to. I started, but the words tangled. She tilted her head, waiting for me to finish, and when I didn't, her lips pressed into a small line. "You're too young to get burned," she said finally. Her tone was light, but her shoulders were tight, her body angled half away from me. "I'm not," I said, quieter than I meant to. The heater clicked and shut off, leaving the room even more silent. Her hand, still on my notebook, tightened slightly. She didn't move it. I saw her thumb graze the paper, a soft back-and-forth motion like she was tracing a thought she wouldn't speak. I wanted to say something clever, or at least calm, but instead I watched her. The way her breath caught at the top of her chest. The way her nails, pale and unpolished, trembled just once. "You think you know what you're doing," she said, not looking at me. "I know enough," I replied. Finally, she did look at me. Really look, like she was trying to read a language she'd forgotten. The space between us felt small, but dangerous. My knee brushed her thigh under the table. She didn't move. Then the sound of the door opening sliced through the moment. Someone calling her name from the hallway, voice casual, unaware. She blinked hard, as if waking up. Her hand slid off my notebook. She stepped back just slightly, her shoulder brushing mine as she turned toward the door. "Stay here," she said softly, before walking out. I sat there, the air still warm where she had been, waiting for her to come back, wondering if she would. When she came back, the hallway light spilled in behind her. She closed the door gently, as if the sound itself could betray something. For a second, she didn't look at me. She leaned against the doorframe, arms folded, eyes fixed on the scuffed floor. "They thought I'd left already," she said. Her voice was careful, even. "We should go," I offered. "Keep this professional." The words were there, but the conviction wasn't. I nodded but didn't stand. My notebook lay open on the table where she'd left it, her fingerprints still faint on the edge of the page. "I know," I said. My voice cracked a little, which annoyed me. "It's just—" She crossed the room, slow. Her heels were off now. I hadn't noticed her slip them off. Bare feet on the old linoleum made no sound. She stopped behind me, too close. Her fingers brushed my shoulder once. Just a light sweep, maybe. A gesture to move me aside. But they stayed there a heartbeat too long. "You're—" she started, then bit her lip. "You remind me of someone I used to know." I turned slightly. "Someone you miss?" Her jaw tightened. "Someone who made me feel younger. Before it cost me." I didn't know what to say. I thought about the way she'd said burned earlier. I pictured her with someone else, someone who'd left her waiting in quiet rooms like this. "You don't have to tell me," I said. She shook her head. "No, I don't." Her hand slipped off my shoulder but brushed the back of my neck as it left. "An accident, probably." It left my skin buzzing. "I'm not a kid," I said quietly. "You're 24. She almost smiled. "And I'm old enough to know better." "Old enough to know what?" She exhaled, a soft sound that reached my cheek. Her breath smelled faintly of mint tea. "That people talk. That people assume. That someone always gets hurt." For a moment, Neither of us moved. I stared at her hands, small veins, a pale scar near her knuckle. She fiddled with a bracelet, spinning it around her wrist like a nervous tick. I'm not like him, I said without thinking. Her eyes flicked up, sharp. I didn't say you were. I trailed off. She leaned in then, elbows on the back of my chair. Her hair slipped forward, brushing my temple. Don't make promises you don't understand, she said. I swallowed. I'm not making promises. The heater clicked on again, a rush of warm air filling the quiet. She didn't move away. Her hand rested lightly on the back of the chair, close enough that our fingers almost touched. We stayed like that. No words, just the hum of heat. Until she finally let her fingers slide down, the backs grazing mine in a slow, deliberate line. Neither of us spoke. We just sat in that thin space between what we shouldn't do and what we already had. The next evening the studio was louder than usual. Footsteps in the hall, voices echoing down. Stairwells. It felt like the world outside was pressing in. She sat at the far end of the table, hair pinned back, reading something on her phone. I stood near the window, pretending to check my notes. Neither of us said hello. We just looked up at the same time. That was enough. Busy tonight, I said. Too many people, she murmured. Her eyes flicked toward the door, then back to me. It's not safe to. She left the thought unfinished. I nodded. My pulse felt loud in my throat. I crossed to the table anyway. She slid her phone aside, fingers tightening on the edge like she was holding herself in place. You shouldn't, she said. I just wanted to. My voice cracked. I tried again. We need to finish the notes, right? She almost smiled at that. Yes, the notes. But she didn't open the folder. I sat opposite her. The heater was off tonight. The room held a damp chill from the rain outside. Drops streaked the windows, distorting the streetlights. Her perfume, citrus and something faintly smoky, seemed stronger in the cool air. We bent over the same page, shoulders nearly touching. She reached for a pen at the same time I did, and our fingers collided. We both froze. You're cold, she said softly. So are you, I said. Her eyes held mine for a long moment. She started to pull her hand back, but stopped halfway. Our fingers still touched, light but steady. Then a voice called her name from the hallway, closer this time. She jolted, snatching her hand away like it had burned her. Later, she whispered, eyes darting to the door. We both straightened as the knob rattled. A second later, the sound of footsteps retreated down the hall, someone on a phone call. She exhaled, slow, a tremor in it. They can't, she began, then pressed her lips together. They won't, I said. I wasn't sure it was true. She reached for the folder but dropped the pen instead. It rolled toward me. I picked it up, and when I handed it back, she didn't take it right away. Our hands hovered, inches apart. I'm not supposed to feel, she started, but stopped. I know, I whispered. Silence stretched. The rain tapped harder against the glass, a steady pulse. She leaned forward slightly, so close her hair brushed my cheek. I felt her breath when she spoke next. This is dangerous. I almost leaned in, but she turned her face away at the last moment. Her hands gripped the table edge. Her knuckles went white. We can't, she said. We already are, I answered. And somehow, without moving closer, we were closer than ever, her forehead nearly against mine, our hands still suspended between reach and retreat, the air between us too warm for the cold room. The rain hadn't let up. By the time we were alone again, the studio smelled of damp wool and paper. She had taken off her jacket and draped it over a chair. Drops clung to the ends of her hair like beads. We worked in silence at first, or pretended to. Every time she reached across the table, her sleeve brushed my wrist. Every time I looked up, she was already watching me, then looking away too late. You're quiet tonight, she said finally. You asked me to be. I asked you to keep it professional. That's what I'm doing. She gave a small, humorless laugh. You're failing miserably. I put the pen down. So are you. Her eyes flicked up, sharp, but she didn't argue. She turned her chair slightly, facing me full on now, knees drawn up under her. The heater hummed behind us, warm against my back. You don't understand, she said softly. This isn't just an age thing. It's everything. My reputation, your future. I leaned forward. I don't care. You should. I can't. She exhaled sharply and stood, walking to the window. Rain streaked the glass in long lines. Her reflection looked like a watercolor smudged by water. I followed before I thought about it. Don't, she said, but she didn't move when I came to stand behind her. Her hands were gripping the sill, knuckles pale. I reached out and, very slowly, brushed a strand of wet hair from her face. She closed her eyes at the touch, just for a second. I keep telling myself to stop, she whispered. And then you look at me like that. Like what? Like I'm not ruined. Her voice cracked on the word. Without thinking, I set my hands lightly on her shoulders. She trembled but didn't pull away. She leaned back, just enough that her head rested near my chest. You're not, I said near her ear. My voice came out low, rough. For a long moment, the only sounds were the heater and the rain. Her breath slowed. One of her hands left the sill and came up, hesitating, before resting on mine. This can't go on, she murmured. Then tell me to leave. Silence. She turned halfway, still holding my hand. Our faces were inches apart now. Her hair smelled faintly of rain and lemon. I could feel the warmth of her breath on my lips. This is the point, she said softly, where you walk away. I'm still here, I whispered. Her eyes searched mine. She took a shaky breath, then tilted her head slightly, as if she were about to close the distance. And just then the door handle rattled, sharp in the quiet. We froze. She whispered, "Don't move," her lips almost brushing mine. The door didn't open, just a metallic rattle, then silence. We stayed frozen, her fingers still curled around mine, our faces so close I could feel her eyelashes move when she blinked. Finally, she stepped back. Quick, like pulling her hand from a flame. "We have to stop," she said. Her voice wasn't steady. I let my arms fall to my sides. "It was just the door," I said. "That's exactly the point." She paced to the table, rubbing her palms together as if trying to erase the memory of my touch. "They're starting to wonder." "Who?" "My assistant." She stopped herself. "Someone saw us leaving last night. They asked questions this morning." The room felt smaller. "What did you tell them?" "That you're a student. That you're brilliant. That I barely know you." Her laugh was short and bitter. I lied so easily it scared me. I watched her, noticing how she wouldn't meet my eyes now. Her shoulders were rigid, but her hands shook as she gathered papers that didn't need gathering. "Why?" I asked. She set the papers down and pressed both palms flat to the table, head bowed. "Because I can't lose this job. Because I've done this before and it ended in fire." I stepped closer. "Done what before?" "Believed someone younger could keep a secret," she said, finally looking at me. "Believed myself strong enough to stop." Her confession landed like a weight. I could see it in her, the old scars under the polished surface, the way her mouth trembled but stayed set. "You think I'll betray you?" I said quietly. "I think you don't understand what betrayal looks like." I reached out, hesitant, and brushed the back of my fingers against her arm. She flinched but didn't move away. "I'm not him," I said. Her eyes softened, then hardened again. "You keep saying that." "Because it's true." For a heartbeat, she stayed still, her breath shallow. Then she stepped past me toward the door. As she brushed by, her shoulder grazed my chest, slow and unintentional enough to make my heart jolt. "You should leave before someone sees you here again," she whispered. "I'm not going to." She stopped with her hand on the knob, her back to me. "Then you're going to ruin us both." I walked up behind her, close enough that the heat of my body reached her through her thin shirt. "Maybe," I said softly. "Or maybe we're already ruined." She turned halfway, eyes searching mine. Her hand left the knob. "I don't know how to do this," she said. "Then let me," I whispered. She shut her eyes, trembling. "You don't know what you're asking." "I know," I said, stepping closer. This time she didn't move away. The storm had stopped sometime after midnight. Now the windows were black and still, and the studio felt like a sealed box. Only the heater whispered in the corner. She stood near the table, one hand gripping the edge, knuckles white. I was by the window again, my reflection ghosted beside hers in the glass. We hadn't spoken since she told me I'd ruin us both. "Finally," she said, "lock the door." Her voice was barely audible. I hesitated. "Why?" "Because I can't keep pretending with the door open." I turned the key. The click echoed. She didn't look at me as I crossed the room. Her shoulders rose and fell in shallow breaths. When I was close enough to touch her, she still didn't move. "This is the last time," she whispered. "You've said that before. This time I mean it." I stepped closer until our bodies almost touched. I could smell the rain in her hair, the warmth of her skin under the citrus perfume. Her eyes flicked up to mine. All the careful walls were gone. You don't understand what it costs me, she said. Then show me, I said. My voice came out rough, low. She reached up, fingers trembling, and brushed my hair back from my forehead, an intimate gesture, motherly and hungry at once. Her palm stayed there a heartbeat too long. I've been alone a long time, she murmured. I know. Her hand slid down to my jaw. My own hands found her waist, but lightly, like a question. She didn't pull away. I'm afraid of you, she said. I'm afraid of losing you, I answered. Her breath caught. For a moment we stood there, foreheads nearly touching, eyes closed, suspended in a silence that felt heavier than sound. This isn't a game, she whispered. I'm not playing. We both moved at the same time, she leaning in, me pulling her closer, but stopped just before our lips met. The air between us was hot, charged. She let out a shaky laugh that was almost a sob. I can't keep fighting you, she said. Then don't. She opened her eyes. Whatever she saw in mine made her shoulders drop, the tension sliding out. I'm choosing this, she said softly. Just once. No promises after tonight. I nodded. I'll take the truth over a promise. Her forehead rested against mine. Our noses brushed. The heater clicked off, leaving the room in deep, waiting quiet. We hadn't kissed yet. We hadn't said the words. But in that breathless stillness, we finally stopped circling. We were no longer pretending not to want it. She whispered, now you know me. And for the first time, I felt like I did. Morning crept into the studio in pale stripes through the blinds. The heater was off, but the room still held the warmth of the night before, that small, fragile warmth you get after a storm. She sat on the windowsill, barefoot, knees drawn up under her chin. Her hair was loose now, falling over her shoulders in a way I hadn't seen before. I stood at the table, making 2 mugs of coffee from the old machine. Neither of us had said much since dawn. There wasn't much to explain. I brought her a mug, and she took it with both hands. Her fingers brushed mine, steady this time, not a tremor in sight. Thanks, she said. Her voice was softer than usual, like she'd lost the edge she wore as armor. You're welcome. We sat there in the quiet, sipping coffee. Outside, the rain had stopped, the pavement shining like glass. Inside, the air smelled of paper, coffee, and the faint lemon of her perfume. I thought I'd feel guilty, she said finally. But I don't. Not right now. I thought you'd push me away, I admitted. But you didn't. She smiled. A real, small smile that showed the corners of her eyes. I tried. You're stubborn. I learned from you. She shook her head and laughed quietly. Then she reached out, palm up, and I took her hand without thinking. We sat like that for a while, fingers intertwined, our mugs cooling on the sill. You're still young, she said after a long pause. I know. And I'm still me. I know that too. She squeezed my hand gently. I don't know what this is going to look like after today. I only know that last night I stopped being afraid of you. I leaned closer, resting my forehead lightly against hers. She closed her eyes. And I stopped being afraid of you, I said. Her free hand came up, cupped the back of my neck, thumb tracing small circles. It wasn't a kiss. It was quieter, steadier, like a promise neither of us dared to speak aloud. We stayed like that until the light grew stronger. People would start arriving soon. Life would keep moving. But for now, in that small sealed-off moment, the age gap, the rules, the noise of other people's opinions all felt far away. She whispered, we'll figure it out. I know, I said. We already are. Her head rested against my shoulder, our hands still linked. The quiet wasn't heavy anymore. It felt like an open door. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?